also good on timing. I'm not totally sure. I don't claim to have incredible music timing. I swear with some drummers, it's just not Don't have a musician here, but it just sounds a little weird. I don't know. I just work here.
Installment in our new concert series. So glad you've come out to join us today. My name is Todd Matheson. I get to serve as lead pastor here with the staff team and with this congregation. Music is such a core part and value of who we are and even how we worship. And I know that's our heart today as we gather for this concert of Bach and his influences. And it's presented to us. Let me introduce our presenter here in just a little bit. But I'm so glad that you're here. And I know many of you know Victory before. And if this is your first time here, a special word of welcome to you. Glad you've joined us here today. I want to let you know about our second concert coming up in just 2 weeks. November 9th. It's going to be the Tetris String Quartet bringing a concert, What a Wonderful World. So that's 2 weeks from today, November 9th, 3 o'clock. Be great to see you all back here at that time. You know, these concerts are really made available because of your generous contribution. So just to let you know, if you wish to support the music ministry here at Victory, there's receptacles out in the foyer. You can place a gift there, and it's going to go to the music ministry here at Victory Lutheran. There's a reception outside afterwards. Stick around, and you'll be able to also talk to our key musician at that time. And just to note that if you are interested in a church home here in the East Valley, I know of one I'd like to recommend you at least check out. It's called Victory, and just to let you know, next Sunday on the 2nd of November at about noon, we've got a quick little about half-hour, 45-minute session, free lunch. Meet with one of the pastors to find out more about who we are as a church. But you're going to get an inside scoop here this afternoon. We are so blessed here today to have with us, as well as in an ongoing way here at Victory, to have Dr. Kristin Holton Prouty as our Director of Worship and Music here at Victory. She started playing piano at 6 years of age, but didn't start organ until she was in college. And so it began a love affair, can I say that, with the organ for Kristin. And then she followed that love to study abroad in Austria for 2 years. And then she came back and she came here to ASU and completed her doctorate in organ performance. This is one high caliber professional in our midst. She's been here at Victory since 2013, going on 13 years. And she says she's honored to play here at one of the best organs in the valley. You need to know this. I'm just learning, but we are so blessed at Victory to have this organ here with us. It's just a phenomenal instrument. And she was with the whole group of us recently on a spiritual pilgrimage to Germany, where we got to walk in the footsteps of Martin Luther, who was of interest, but also of Johann Sebastian Bach, which is also of significant interest. And so Dr. Kristin is here to share with us some of her love of Bach and his influences. And so may I have you give a nice Victory welcome to Dr. Kristin Holton Prouty.
Thank you so much for coming out this afternoon. It's so great to see familiar faces, maybe for the first time this season. It's good to see people as they come back. And if you're just visiting, please come again. As Pastor Todd said, we have so many great things happening here at Victory. Music, of course, being a big part of that, at least for me. So today, Bach and his influences. None of us would be here without the people who have influenced us, and that was also true for Johann Sebastian Bach. And so the piece that I just played, it seemed appropriate to start with Buxtehude. When Bach was young, he was 18 years old, he took his first post at a church in Arnstadt. And he went there, and it was a fine position, especially for a young musician starting out. But he quickly realized that he was the best musician in town. And so for somebody who wanted to learn and grow, he had absolutely nobody to study with. He had an assistant organist who wasn't as good as he was, and he was 18. So he was, of course, studying music that he had access to, and he'd heard of Buxtehude, who was well known in Germany at that time. So he asked permission to go, and he was granted permission. He went, probably by foot, 400 miles up to during Advent. Now, I don't know if I told Pastor Todd, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave during Advent. Don't know if we'll be back for Christmas, how that would go. But so Bach went, and he traveled, and he went. He was only supposed to stay a short time, and he ended up staying 4 months. He wanted to specifically attend the Sunday concerts, and these were not only organ, but Buxtehude had a lot of resources where he was, and so he had big orchestra strings and percussion and things that in Little Arnstadt Bach didn't always have. So he was very inspired there, and we know that while he was there, he actually copied the music of Buxtehude so that he would have scores to bring back with him to play. So very influential in young Bach's life. Now he eventually went back to work, and his boss said, "You took too long," which was fine. He was able to get another job and continue with his life. So Buxtehude, very important. This was like a toccata and fugue sort of thing, which Bach wrote a lot of. He also was very interested in church music and in chorale-based things, and that's something that Bach learned. And so the next piece I'm going to play is by Johann Sebastian Bach, and is from his collection called the Orgelbüchlein, and that is a book of pieces that he wrote to be used during the church year. So the next piece is kind of fitting as we're thinking about these influences and so on, and trusting God. You'll recognize the tune, "If You But Trust in God to Guide You." And in this, Bach uses two themes. One is kind of this happy, joyful theme, and then underneath in the pedal, we have this firm foundation that it's based on. So listen for that in this little piece by Bach. It's a new composer. Bach was always interested in learning and growing more. And so one of the influences where he never traveled, but he wanted to learn, was that of the composers from Italy. Now, the Italians were ahead of the game when it came to printing. If you look at the date for Frescobaldi, he was, after the Reformation, we know the printing press was important for that, with the dissemination of things. So by this point, Frescobaldi was actually able to publish his music. And so Bach didn't have to transcribe it by hand. He was able to actually have a copy that had been printed, which was pretty cool for that time. So we know that he owned some scores of Frescobaldi, including Fiora Musicali, which was a very important collection used for the church year, and he included some like mass settings and things like that, but also some freer works. And Bach studied those. He tried to incorporate this influence into his music. We also know that he loved the music of Antonio Vivaldi. And we know that because he actually transcribes music that was meant for strings for the organ. And so in a minute, I will play you some of that. First, I'm going to play you a piece by Frescobaldi, and this is Toccata. Now, usually when we think of the word toccata, we think bright and exciting and happy. It actually just means to touch. And so this is a toccata that was meant to be used during communion. So it's quiet, it's during the elevation, it's something contemplative. And some of you were on the trip to Germany, and when we were in Bach's house, the organs there didn't have pedals. It was very common in Italy, in southern Germany, to not have pedals on the organ. If you did, they were just a couple. They were called pull down, and you just kind of used it to support. But it wasn't like what we've been hearing here with Buxtehude and Bach, which was from the Netherlands and North Germany, where they had pedal parts. So I thought I would take this opportunity to use our little organ that we have here at Victory to play this piece by Frescobaldi. Several of you have asked, and you're welcome to look at it afterwards. Yes, it is an organ. It has 3 sets of pipes. There's an 8-foot, a 4-foot, and a 2-foot. If you come on the side where I'll be, you can actually see that the horizontal wood are actually pipes built into the case itself, so that it's very compact. It was built by John Bromba, who is considered the father of this historic style of organ building in the United States. So this is a very important part of organ culture history in the United States. And Victory, when they were building this building and knowing that they were going to have worship services here, they wanted music to be an important part of worship here. And so they planned for this organ. But this organ is all handmade, and it takes time, many years. I don't know exactly, I'd have to ask, 3 or 4 probably. And they wanted to have an organ before that to use in worship. So there are some pictures of the very first services here at Victory with this little organ right where it is. The choir has been redesigned since then, but choir members around it in their red robes using this little organ in worship. So it's a really important part of history here at Victory. So I'm going to play for you some Frescobaldi and then a Bach piece after Vivaldi. Just a few notes on that, because I'm not going to talk in between. I'm talking too much already, but there's so much to tell you. The Vivaldi piece is not going to sound maybe like an organ piece, because it's based on a string ensemble, so I should have Allison up here playing with me. But in the middle, there's like a cadenza that you would hear maybe on a violin, and then you hear the whole ensemble come back together. And so listen for that kind of echo back and forth between the ensemble and the soloist in that piece. But first, let's calm ourselves and listen to this little piece by Frescobaldi. If you have ever heard any of the Bach solo pieces, like for cello or for violin, that's kind of what it was, where it's just going and going and going and going. And so it is. Usually I get to play more notes, but that's a lot of work. All right, up next on the program, we're moving back into northern Germany with the music of Scheidemann. Now, if you look at the dates, you'll see there's no way that Bach and Scheidemann could have met because Bach was born over 20 years later after Scheidemann passed. However, he was very well respected in Germany, so undoubtedly he studied his work, he knew his work, and it was influential in probably when he was a student and things like that. So definitely music that he was aware of. I'm going to be playing a kind of a set of variations. It's continuous, but as you notice, I have to pull my own stops. I don't have any buttons or anything on this organ. And so it is continuous. Don't feel the need to stop. Don't clap. It's about 12 minutes long. And so it's just going to continue. If I quickly grab some stops, we're continuing on. And it's based on Ein Festeburg. Now, if you were in church, in a Lutheran church this morning, I'm certain that you sang it. It is probably the most well-known hymn by Martin Luther. And based on the dates of when we think he wrote it, he probably was back in Wittenberg after he'd been in the Wartburg Castle. So he had experienced knowing what it was to be in a fortress, to be safe, but to still know that wasn't actually going to be what saved him. It was really God who was protecting him through all of that. So perhaps that was influential as he was reading Psalm 46 and decided to give us this very favorite hymn for all denominations, not just Lutheran, but specifically for Lutherans. So this comes the interactive part now. You get to join and sing with me on A Mighty Fortress. There are words in your program. We're going to sing 3 verses. They'll invite you to sit back down. I think you have to stand when you sing A Mighty Fortress, so go ahead and stand with me, and then we'll have a seat and listen to a set of variations based on that tune. Did you recognize A Mighty Fortress? Sometimes it was the rhythm, sometimes it was the harmonies, sometimes it was the melody and the echoing back and forth. Such a very cool setting of that. All right, wrapping up our little experience of perhaps what Bach was thinking about as he was learning and developing with the influence of France. Now we know that he had the music of François Couperin. We also know that he transcribed some of the books of Grigny, and so he was very familiar. Now the French composers during this time were very specific about their registration. The titles of the pieces were always what the registration should be. And so there was no guessing when it came to the French music if you were in France. Now Bach never went to France, so he would get these things and he would say, okay, I need a crumhorn and I need a trumpet and I need a... But his ears were listening to German and Southern German organs at that. So he unfortunately never actually heard what this French music that he was studying actually sounded like on a good French organ. But he still would learn and take the ornamentation and the style and the figurations and those sorts of things and apply it to what he was doing. So definitely for a man who was in Germany trying to absorb as much of the world music as he could at that time. So I'm going to play for you a little piece by Grigny, and it is in 3 parts. And this is not a French organ. This organ loves German music, but I will do my best to transport you to France for a little taste of some French classical Grigny. short. I don't know if you noticed, there was 3 sections but together, so it kind of went into like a 12/8 sort of dancey feel, and then in 6, but all together with that pedal point in the bottom. And then we had a little extra F sharp that's been extra wanting to be participatory since the rain, so sorry for that. So Bach took the sections, the pedal point, the reeds, and he wrote a piece that he actually gave a French title. Now, if you didn't know it was supposed to be French and I didn't say, look at all these connections, would you think it was French? I don't know. But it's definitely Bach. And so that's how I'm going to end today. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been great to have you here. As Pastor Todd said, lots of great things happening. Please come out in 2 weeks to hear the Tetra Quartet. They're just amazing, and they're going to be playing a wide variety. It's a great program also for children. If you have grandchildren or friends with kids, they work specifically with like Title I schools, and they go into places where maybe the kids wouldn't normally have music. So they're used to being with children, and they like to expose people who are not used to classical music. So it's going to be a fun program. Well done. So definitely come back for that. I'd love to see you again. And stay for the reception. I'd like to say hi. And to conclude, some Bach. Thank you.